A bumper number to start the year. Good evening. The US jobs market has blown past expectations in its first month. The economy added 130,000 jobs in January, well more than the 75,000 that economists were expecting. It is the strongest pace of hiring since December of 2024. It's given the optimism that the labour market, which was a concern both of Fed and economists, has turned the corner. Last year, the weakest since the recession outside of '03. So, are we justified in our cheer? Robert Reich served as the US Labour Secretary under President Clinton, the author of the book The System, Who Rigged It, How We Fix It, and the former Secretary is with me. Sir, the number's good. It sort of takes interest rate cuts off the table, some would say. How do you read this number?
Well, I do think it's good. It is surprising, Richard. It is better than most people had anticipated. And I do think it does take interest rate cuts off the table, because I think that the Fed is now under no obligation and certainly in no hurry to speed the economy up, to invite inflation, some would say. So it's a good record. It's a good report.
I saw your comments online, though, of course, that you wrote, where you point out that if you go underneath, and as you're always reminding me, sir, you've got to go underneath the numbers. The headline only tells you one thing. Go underneath the numbers, and it's not quite as rosy.
That's right. Half of the new jobs were created in one sector of the economy, and that's healthcare. And the healthcare sector is not always the most productive. Many relatively low paying jobs are there. The other big sector where you saw job growth is construction. But taking away healthcare and construction, basically all the other sectors of the economy were flat in terms of job creation in January.
So are we seeing, in a sense, the renaissance, and I think the answer is no, of manufacturing? Are we seeing any suggestion that the trade policies of the administration are accepting that it takes years to build a factory, but are having any impact on job numbers?
Not much, Richard. And again, I'm keeping my labor secretary hat on, and I'm trying to be as dispassionate as I possibly can. There is almost no growth in manufacturing jobs. In fact, the Bureau of Labor Statistics looked back, revised its job numbers for the past year, 2025, and found that there was an average of only 15,000 new jobs per month last year. Zero manufacturing, almost zero in manufacturing jobs. This is not a terribly good number. This is nothing to crow about.
Now, if, as you say, the majority of the gains was in construction and healthcare, not manufacturing or wider parts of the economy, could that be used as a reason to cut interest rates on the basis of, look, we can cut rates because it's not like it's a generally inflationary job market?
Well, here's the problem. Healthcare is quite inflationary. Healthcare costs have been going up faster than most of the other costs in the economy. And construction work, that is buildings, houses, again, costs have been going up faster than the rest of the economy. So it's not going to be credible for the Fed to say, we don't really have to worry about inflation.
On this question of jobs and AI, I know you've been very concerned that this shift in the US labor force. We've heard earlier on this program, one person saying, look, a lot of the job losses that have been taking place are economic. They're not because of AI. AI is being used as an excuse. But we are going to see serious dislocation of the labor market because of AI.
I think that's fair. A dislocation, though, is a very broad term, obviously. Many people are going to lose their jobs because the AI is simply going to take them jobs over. And this is particularly, ironically, true of white collar jobs. The old over the last 50 years, the jobs that have been lost due to technology have been primarily blue collar. Now we're going to see a lot of white collar displacement.
Can I ask you, because you were Labour Secretary during the start of the internet and during the dot-com era of the Clinton administration, at that time, was there genuine realization of the necessity to retrain and that our policies had to be. And the reason I say this is because we're always told that we didn't retrain after the internet, nor did we properly retrain after the fourth industrial revolution of digitization. Now we have AI. Are we about to make the same mistake?
I believe we are, Richard, and I'll tell you why. Because retraining, or look more broadly, all of the adaptive mechanisms that you could impose in the economy, helping people go from job to job, helping people get assistance in moving from city to city, all the things that you would want to do. There's no political support because a lot of people don't want to lose their jobs. And certainly, if you are an owner, if you are a major shareholder, you don't see why you have to bear the cost of doing all of that adaptation.
Finally, Kevin Walsh at the Fed. Now, he says he hasn't, given a litmus test. The president has suggested that he wouldn't have got the job if he wasn't about to cut rates. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But are you, I was going to say, are you encouraged? But how do you view that appointment?
I think he's a very responsible economist. He has been so far. And most of the people I talk with on Wall Street, but also in the academy, are relatively positive or very positive about the appointment. And that is good news. Now, he comes in, nobody knows, quite frankly, how much of a hawk he's going to be.
I'm grateful, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you.